Okay, hi. So I thought I'd go over some of my games, or probably all of my games from a tournament I played last week, which was the Stavanger Open in my home city. And this was sort of a comeback because this was the first like proper tournament I've played in 4 years. I've played in league games in the Norwegian Premier League and a few team championships, and that's about it for the last 4 years. So I was pretty curious how it would go. I only played the first 8 rounds. I took a bye in the last round. So let's just jump into game one. I have ChessBase here with this is my entire database of all the games I played. But let's just look at this one game. Played a very young kid with a rating of 1400, and I'm black. My current rating is 2177. And I went for a French defense. Before this tournament, I had actually prepared the Sicilian, but I decided, just trying to figure out an opening that was gonna win the game the quickest for me against this supposedly much weaker player. So he plays the Tarrasch variation with French, which is knight e2. I go for the so-called Morozevich variation, bishop e7, which is kind of offbeat variation. And I'm just going to go pretty quickly through most of the game and look at some of the most interesting moments because, man, I mean, there were a lot of crazy stuff that happened in my games in this tournament. The time control was pretty fast, only 90 minutes for the entire game, and with the addition of 30 seconds per move. And also there were like four days in a row with double rounds, which is pretty brutal. And yeah, Harrogate knight b4 and bishop b5. I thought that was probably good for me. This is like this is the problem piece in the French, so I was happy to just get it out. And maybe he could have taken on h6 here. I don't know. Nothing special so far. I get a sort of a double pawn, but it doesn't matter. And now I have the bishop pair. And here I decide to go for this variation where I take and play f4 and then take here. And I thought, okay, so I'm threatening on b2, I'm threatening the bishop, this h-pawn is hanging, stuff like that. So curiously enough, after g3, like nothing is really all that great for me. I went back here, thinking like I'm gonna start pushing my d-pawn, just hope that this one wins me the game. But objectively speaking, there's like no advantage for black here at all. And he plays very well. Like this rating is only 1400, and I think his national rating was even lower, like 1200. So almost 1,000 rating points below me, which is, you're supposed to win quickly and easily, right? Which didn't happen in this case. All of a sudden, like, maybe he's threatening to come in and enter on c6 and stuff. I found this move, and I had some intention if rook c6, maybe I would go here, threatening this, threatening this pawn, stuff like that. I don't know. He went queen c6, takes, start pushing the pawn. Now I was getting sort of happy, and you can see that all of my pawns are pretty much on light squares, while his pawns are in dark squares, which is usually exactly what you want when you have a dark squared against dark squared bishop. So positionally speaking, this is supposed to be advantageous for me. But there's the question of this d-pawn. Is it going to be weak or is it going to be strong? I was unsure about this bishop c5 check move. Probably not the best. By the way, I'm going very quickly through this. I'm gonna put a link up for all my games if you want to go and have a look here. So yeah, this was critical, and now I just blundered badly. Like bishop d4. Okay, this one a4. Still continuing this principal way of like putting all my pawns on light squares, and king here, rook. And then rook d6, and obviously I'm forced to take, and now my pawn is hanging, my bishop is hanging, and even worse, like this d pawn is just very close to queening, so suddenly my bishop is tied to the defense of this pawn. I was thinking, you know, if we exchange rooks, I'm always going to go and attack this guy here and this one, maybe. But I just have to use my bishop now to defend the pawn. I have to go back. I could have like gone here, then he just played d7, and then I go back. Maybe this was a slight improvement. Now I can maybe round up this pawn somehow. I don't know, but it's just lost for me. I'm just losing, and guy is like 700 rating points more than that, lower. So just totally losing. He's just collecting all my pawns. Like in a desperate attempt, I just start walking up the board here. Maybe he's gonna win my bishop. Maybe I'll just start attacking these pawns here, right? But I know I'm losing, obviously. b5, and now I come back. This was the idea. Hopefully just stop the pawns. And he gives this check. It looks innocent, right? I mean, if I take it, he's going to go b6, and there goes the pawn. But then I go back, and yeah, it's still winning, of course. At this point, you know, I looked at this with Stockfish, with the computer, and if he plays b6 here, the valuation is like plus 50 if you let it run for a while. It's just like so winning. I mean, just play this move. I have to take it. There's no other choice. And this, and it's just nothing. I mean, you can probably replace this bishop with a pawn, and it's still winning. I don't know, but you know, as you can see from this result, I actually won this game. And the thing that happened was bishop f4 here, which is just a huge blunder, because this is like, this pawn is the only thing I have in the position that gives me any resemblance of hope, this d3 pawn. And then it's never going anywhere because of this bishop is just perfectly positioned defending it. And then he moves the bishop, and then all of a sudden bishop a5 and b6 and now d2, and if he takes here, takes b7, then I have this check, and my bishop comes and stops the pawn. Amazing, like just incredible. So he has to go b7. I queen first, he queens, and now I get some checks, right? So I wasn't sure, but it should be winning somehow. This check here, and yeah, probably he should have gone to d4 here, but should still be winning. Actually, there was a nice variation here, I think. Where was it? This one, and this, and I have to turn on the computer. There's something with queen b3 at some point. Bishop here, yes, here it is. Queen king f3, and then queen b3. And if he takes, there's b2, and I'm winning. So that could have been tricky to find actually if he played king d4, but he didn't. He made it pretty easy for me. King d5, check, 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 check. I exchanged queens, and I was just winning. Like, and I felt so bad for the kid because he was visibly really upset. I mean, it probably would have been like the highest rated player he'd ever beaten, and he was just so close. And his father was watching, and you know, I just felt bad, to be honest. It wasn't a good feeling, but you know, I'll take it. And here is signed. So let's look at the next game. Where are we at time-wise? I spent 9 minutes on that. It's probably going to take a while. So my next game was against the Grandmaster, Mikael Guljuben. This guy is sort of a legend. I think he finished second in the World Junior Championship one year, and he tied, or he finished second behind Svidler in some Russian championship or something. He's a pretty solid player. Won a bunch of open tournaments. He plays the French defense, and I actually prepared this variation. Normally I play knight c3, but I prepared the advanced variation for this guy. I had looked at some of his games, and he played this variation here. And this was still my preparation. Here, all theory. Here, rook e1. And I was playing quickly, of course, because I was still in preparation. And I didn't really try to, you know, pretend like I was thinking. Especially with a short time controller, there's no point. You know, a grandmaster, he's just gonna sniff that out. He's not gonna be fooled by stuff like that. So his previous games had featured this move, bishop c7, and then my intention was to play bishop g5, queen c8, and then rook c1. It's a very strong move, and I'm gonna play c4 next. And it's probably a pretty good position for a white. So instead he castled, and still bishop g5, and now f6. This was his idea. Takes, bishop h6 is pretty much forced, rook f7, and you know, analyzing this afterwards, it's probably pretty good for white also. But it was a good decision on his part, you know, just avoid my preparation. He is the stronger player after all, so even if this is slightly worse for black, he's probably going to be okay. And I played c4, which is questionable. It's probably the, you know, it's the only pawn break I have really, and not sure if I should have played that. And then knight e5. This has actually been played before in games. And now I was thinking, you know, should I take on e5 first and then play like bishop b2 or something? I was a little bit scared of pawn takes, but then probably I was thinking bishop e3 maybe. But then there's this one, I think, you know, attacking c4 and potentially attacking f2. Looked a bit scary, so I decided, you know, let's keep those knights on, and I played bishop e2. And this is obviously, I mean, immediately after playing it, I realized this is just a huge mistake. It's just silly blunder. For starters, he can take here. If I take, there's this check, and he picks up the bishop. You know, wins the pawn. Probably, you know, I might have some counterplay here, stuff like this, you know, attacking e6. I can understand why he didn't go for this, but even stronger than bishop takes f2. And I also realized that after, first I saw bishop f2, and then I saw, you know, knight g4, attacking h6 and f2. And I have to go back here and just give up a pawn for nothing. And the bishop pair. So the funny thing is, you know, this guy, this grandmaster, he was thinking for so long. Like, he was thinking his way down. I think he had less than 10 minutes there on the clock, while I had like 1 hour or something. So just, you know, played on, hoping he would blunder in time trouble or something. Pretty unlikely, but you know. Bishop g4. I was kind of happy when I got to play that, but this is pretty much forced. And rook c4, but I protect this guy, and e5, of course. Now there's a. I was looking at a variation like this. If he takes here, I'm gonna take here. Takes and then check and take this one, but it's not good. It's just better for. It's just a pawn up, and it's just nothing. It was kind of a tactical trick, but it doesn't gain me anything. So I have to pretty much take here and play for some tricks. Like, one thing could be this one here, and then maybe like h3. If he takes here, I'm gonna go down to the 7th rank, maybe create some trouble somehow. Like if he takes here, I don't know, maybe check here, here check, take this one. I mean, it's probably still winning for him. Maybe have some slight chances of obscuring the matter. Maybe even get a perpetual check or something in some cases. It's just a very faint hope. And of course, with he was down to only his increment at this point, like 30 seconds per move, and of course he blitzed out rook e4. Pretty strong move, I think. But obviously I can't take any of the rooks because that will lead to checkmate, so h3, and once again king f7, very strong move, just avoiding any trouble. And yeah, I would have liked to play g4 here, but then just knight f4 is just hopeless, attacking this one, and if I go here he just invades, and nothing to be said, it's just winning. So I had to go back, and g3, and here I resigned. I'd seen enough. He looked pretty surprised that I resigned here actually, but it's just, there's no chance of holding this, especially against a strong Grandmaster, or at least a Grandmaster. So that was round 2. 16 minutes. My third game was also amusing and, you know, full of errors from both sides. So this time I whipped out my Sicilian defense, the Najdorf, and he played bishop d3. I never faced this move. I mean, probably in blitz games online I've played it, but never really given it much thought. You know, I had no idea what this move is, to be honest. So obviously his idea is to play c4 and go for like a Maroczy bind structure with a pawn on c4, and I will have to play very passively. So I decided, okay, let's do something about this at least, and go after his bishop. Wasting 3 tempi with my knight to do it, but still, I get the bishop pair, which is at least something. By the way, this guy is 1781. I think that's his national rating. He's like 1800 or something. Anyway, here. Yeah, so it's questionable whether this fianchetto structure is the best one. And b3, his intention is getting pretty obvious. He's going to castle queenside. I didn't actually think that this was all that strong, but and this is also kind of questionable. Obviously threatening to fork everything, but this one is pretty good. Yeah, so my idea is to go from g4 to e5 to c6 and then exchange the knights, his strong knight on d4. Some moves were played. h3, I don't think that's necessary because let's say he plays f4, like this move, bishop g4 is nothing. He just plays knight f3, I think. Yeah, maybe it is something, I don't know. h3 seemed unnecessary. Go here, exchange, and then h4. First h3, then h4. Looks silly, right? But it's getting pretty dangerous. I have the bishop here, but you know, even though he lost his light squared bishop, this h-file attack is just very, very dangerous. And I can't just, you know, try to start defending. There's no way that's going to work. He's just going to break through somehow. So I have to start generating counterplay. But problem is, like this one, for instance, attacking the knight on c3, he goes here. If I take it, he takes with the rook, and it's just a mess. Looks very dangerous, to say the least. Like, there weren't any moves that really appealed to me. I was thinking about h6, and then after f4 maybe try h5. But then I realized he can just play g4, and this is just... I'm just getting myself into even more trouble by doing this. So what I did, I played b5, which a move that I had been looking at, and I considered it for a long time. Eventually I played it. Sorry. He can take it like this. I take, he takes here, I go here, and he has to take here, take, no. I have to take here first. Yeah, that was the point. Otherwise, he gets like queen b2 check and knight c3, and it's just even easier. But here, and I was looking at this one for a long time, trying to find anything good. In the end, I decided probably rook fc8 is something, because I'm actually threatening to take on e4. So here I can probably just take here, and knight takes is checkmate in one move, and yeah, this one I'm probably going to take with the rook. So that was something. And actually looking at it with a computer, rook fc8, I think, yeah, that actually is at least one of the main moves, giving it as equal. So it was interesting, and I think playing b5 definitely was the right choice. So I take here, and he takes back on g6, and now suddenly I realized that if I take back with the f-pawn, which was always my intention, he takes here with check, and my bishop on c6 is falling, so I couldn't do that. Maybe I could have taken here, but it looks crazy, like rook takes h7 for starters. It looks way too risky. So I took back, takes, and queen b6. And now e5 was a move that I was looking at, because he's going to swing his queen over to h4, and he did play it here. And, you know, this is pretty tough. Probably rook d8 or something was the best move. I played f6. And now I thought he should have played this check, king f7, and rook h6. You know, attacking g6, I can't really defend it. But queen c4 check, rook f7, I'd seen this. I was kind of happy about this one. Actually, in this position, he had a crazy opportunity. He could have played rook h7. It's a move you don't see every day. But obviously, if I take it, he takes my rook, and I think it's pretty strong. He played rook h2. I think that's a bit too slow. f5 now, I was happy. Actually, the move I was looking at was queen g4, just attacking g6, and I can't really defend it, but there actually is a way I can defend it. I can play f5 here. Whoops. And if he takes here, now I check here and win his queen. So I'd seen that, and I was happy about seeing that. So now I played f5 here as well, and knight e5. And all of a sudden I realized if I play something normal like this one, he has this check, which is, you know, winning on the spot. So that was a scary moment. I have to take it, and he takes here, attacking my rook. Move here, and bishop e5. And here I moved that. I was looking at this game with my girlfriend, and she suggested to move e6, and I'm like, no, e6, what is that? But actually, the thing is that if he plays a normal move like queen here, I take. He has to take with the bishop. And then rook d8, and I'm actually winning a piece, or yeah, I'm winning a full piece. So that was kind of surprising. If he goes here, now let's turn on the computer. Takes here, and this is probably. It's still winning a piece because something like this I just double and I'm still winning a piece. So the only move in this position after e6 is actually rook d to h1. Amazing, because if I take his queen, there's this checkmate. You know, would he have found rook d h1 if I played e6? I think he probably would, because he's kind of forced to. Everything else just loses. But that would have kind of put him to the test. Instead, I played queen c6, and I was really happy about this because now I forced an endgame, and I thought the rook endgame was very strong from me. It probably is. Like here, I was very happy about this because now my e-pawn will start advancing down the board, and my king is more active than his. His is cut off. So g3 looked strange, e5, e4, and just defending my pawn. And yeah, this looked very, very good for me. Because somehow I'm going to swing my rooks over check and, you know, start aiding my, or assisting my pawn down the board. He really can't do anything. I'm not sure if these were the most accurate moves, but I think they're good enough. And I think it's, yeah, here it's starting to get pretty good. This move is, you know, now it's starting to really look good. And I advance my pawn, and I even get this one. And now I even get to take on a3. I mean, I'm threatening checkmate now. I get his pawn. And here, it's just, you know, now I'm totally winning. Right? I can play, for instance, simple. I even considered this move. I have no idea why I didn't play it. It must have been because I was getting low on time. He was even lower on time, but we were down to minutes, both of us. If I play here, I mean, something like this, just here, takes, and I don't know, what is he gonna do? Go here? I just go. And if like he takes this, I can just go here. I'm queening my pawn. Go. I don't know. Here. It's just winning. His pawns are very far from generating any sort of counterplay. So that was very easy. I don't know why I didn't play that. E2. That's probably. I mean, should still be winning, right? It should easily be winning. That's what I thought. Go here. Okay, I'm gonna just queen my pawn next somehow, right? Here. And yeah, this was the thing. Like I missed this rook h1, and now if I queen, there's this check, and this doesn't help. So amazing, like rook h1. I'm not winning on the spot. I mean, come on, how can that be? Amazing. And I was just like, what the hell has just happened? I could have won in so many ways around here. And I played this probably, and the thing is that now his G pawn is starting to become scary, right? So, and with little time on the clock, you know, this is pretty tough. but I played rook f3, which is not the best move. And now, you know, again, this is... I was starting to get scared that I might actually lose. Here and there. Okay, so now he starts advancing the pawn, obviously. I did find some accurate moves here. I should have actually... here I should have just promoted and taken a draw. Like, takes, g7, check. This is important. And if he goes down here, I mean, it requires some accurate calculation. If he goes down, I check, and I take his pawn, and it's a draw. If he goes up, he has to go here, and then I get this check, and I can still, you know, sacrifice one of my rooks for his pawn. So that was a draw. I played rook f8, and this is actually losing. G7, here, here. That's what he should have played. And I have to go here, here. And this is losing. Or winning for him. You know, incredible. After I was just 10 moves ago, I was completely winning, and now I'm risking a loss. And he plays this move instead, fortunately for me. Here, I didn't know what to do, but suddenly, okay, so I'm kind of repeating moves here, but then he starts advancing towards the g-pawn, and I'm like, holy crap, you know, he's gonna just go and support this pawn with his king. Man. But then I saw this, and now this is important, and if he now advances, which is what he did, I have this check, and now if he goes, but it looks like he can just go between here, but then I take, and then do this, and yeah, in this case I would actually be winning, but you know, the point is I wouldn't be losing. So what happened here? King f6, and okay, so now I have to give up my proud e-pawn, which was always going to be the pawn that was going to win me the game, but somehow it never came through. So he takes, and it's just a draw, of course. It's just a draw. And I decided to play like one final trick. King c1, I just blitzed it out, and he took here, and immediately as I was reaching for my rook, he was like swearing because now I have this check, and he resigned. Amazing, right? So I tricked him, but the funny thing is it's still a draw. He can go here, 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 and he can easily use this b-pawn to just, I have to sacrifice my rook for the b-pawn, so that would have been a draw. And he just resigned. So I'm not sure if anything like that has ever happened to me before, but you know, everyone was watching. It was one of the last games to finish, and immediately people started pointing out to him, you know, this is just a draw. You know, poor guy. That was pretty bad. So that was my third round, and you know, pretty shaky stuff. Okay, so should I look at some more games? Let's do it. Round 4. This was a pretty short one. I met this young girl, I think she was 17. Actually, most of my opponents were pretty young. The last guy I played, he was also a junior. Well, maybe not. He was like young, early 20s or something. This girl, she was 17, and I looked at her recent results. She had played some draws against like 2200 players, stuff like that. So could potentially be dangerous opponents, but somehow I always score well against girls. I don't know why. And this in chess, you know, make no mistake, I'm talking about chess here. I played knight f3 on the first move for the first time in my life. I knew she was gonna play the King's Indian. I just wanted to, like, for future reference, like if people look me up in a database, maybe they get confused because I played knight f3 on the first move, and that was my thinking. I knew I was gonna head for this variation. I knew she was playing this. I looked at her games. And the main line of the King's Indian defense, here, here, and for everyone playing this as black, don't play f4 here, because then bishop g4 is very strong, and the light squared bishops will be traded somehow, which is good for white, because black is never going to get this typical attack and sacrifice of the bishop on h3. So, okay, that was today's lesson about the King's Indian, and let's return to the game. Knight f6 is the correct move, f3, f4, and here I play g4, which is kind of one of my trademark moves. Every now and then I play d4 if I see someone who's playing the King's Indian defense. I think I have like 100% score, a perfect score against the King's Indian. Maybe I've conceded one draw or something. I just have very good results using this g4 move. Usually people play g5, but here she took on a g3 and queen d7. Looks pretty scary. She's gonna try to come down on h3. The thing about this move, it's so counterintuitive to King's Indian players, because usually what white does, white will try to attack on the queen side, black will try to attack on the king side, and white will just try to, you know, hold on the king side and just be careful not to weaken the position anything. And then you play this move g4 and it's like, what? You're just deliberately playing a weakening move on the king side? I mean, what are you doing? You shouldn't be playing on the king side. But the thing is that in this variation, actually, white often gets an attack on the king side, not black, especially after this move. And it's very, very confusing for King's Indian players. And the thing is that, you know, even the queen side is usually favorable for white. So very tricky opening, and I totally recommend this if you want to play something unusual against the King's Indian. Actually, I hadn't faced this. I think I only faced this f takes g3 once. I couldn't really remember everything, but here there's a very funny move: rook f2, queen h3, rook g2, and this looks clumsy. You know, pretty clumsy. But the thing is that after, you know, let's just play a non-move like a5, suddenly g4, and lo and behold, the queen is actually trapped. How do you save the queen? This is pretty funny. I'm going to play like bishop g5 and knight f2. This is actually winning for white, believe it or not. So after rook g2, g4 is a very serious threat, and black probably just has to go back. So that's why rook f2 is an interesting move. But knight f2, has almost always been played in this position. And when I played g4, she was thinking for ages. We had 1.5 hours for the entire game, and she probably fought for more than half an hour for that one move, on move 13. And now she was also thinking a lot. And she decided to go with b6, and I was happy about this, because even though, like now, white is probably not any worse on the king side, it should always be favorable for white if black starts something on the queen side. That just didn't look right to me. King G2. This is the normal moves you play. That's also a nice thing. You can blitz out a few moves. And Bishop A6. This is just wrong. No, you shouldn't play like that in the King's Indian defense, I don't think. And I continue with my Rook H1. And now C6, this was her idea. But, you know, my positional understanding says that this just has to be favorable for me, this opening of the position. And then I spotted the move Queen A4, which I was pretty happy about because, you know, it attacks the bishop and introduces a few ideas, tactical ideas, and, you know, without going into all the details, let's just say it's a pretty good move. On b5, I take here, intermezzo, take here, and something like this. And if you count the pawns, I'm a pawn up, and d6 pawn is weak, and then the d5 square is very strong. So this would have been winning for white. So she played queen c8. I'd actually missed that move, but on queen b7, let's say, I play b4, and again it's I'm threatening to trap her bishop, and if she plays b5 again, there's this move. It's just winning. So queen c8, but now rook ac1, introducing an X-ray against the queen. It's very awkward, and also, yeah, so she played rook d8. In some cases, for instance, on c5, I was contemplating maybe going b4, takes, and then knight b5, attacking d6, and also still attacking b4. If she takes, this is very has to be very good, something like this, and just I can start thinking about queen a3. I can start even thinking about sacrificing an exchange on c6, but even other moves like bringing my knight over is very, you can see easily that this is very favorable for white. So rook d8. There are some interesting possibilities here, like knight g4, for instance, takes, and all of a sudden there are almost no pieces defending the king side, and yeah, it's just very interesting. Bishop g5 was another move that I considered, because there are themes like let's say something like this. This is not a sensible variation, but just bear with me. If I go here, something like this, and then there's this thematic tactic where I'm winning a piece. So there's stuff like that. That variation was nonsense, by the way, but it gives you an idea of some of the potential tactics that are in the air in this position. Probably knight g4 was the strongest move here after analyzing, but b4 looked very tempting also. I'm just threatening to take on c6 with the pawn fork, and she just didn't do anything against that, so I take here, and if she takes, there's this fork. If she takes with the queen, same thing. So she resigned. So it was an easy win for me. Let's go on to the next game. If anyone's still watching, and this was against Grandmaster Johan Salomon, Norwegian Grandmaster, also a very young guy. Not very young, but chess-wise, he's 19, I believe. Got his Grandmaster title a year or two back. Pretty strong player. one of the strongest players in Norway. And I was black. Knight f3, g3. So he plays the English, and I go for like a symmetrical English setup. Never actually played this with black before, so I didn't have any clue about any theory or stuff like that. And here, takes. Now if I castle, that's just a normal position. But I'm thinking like this guy is a grandmaster and he's played this a million times before. I never played it before, and he certainly knows these structures much better than me. So I decided, okay, let's try something a little bit offbeat. Just improvised queen b6 over the board, e3 of course, takes, and d6. I'm not sure if that was necessary. And now suddenly I realized rook e1. It's not that easy for me to castle. Let's say I just protect this guy on e7, and maybe queen e2, and I still can't castle. I was looking at strange variations here, like here castles, takes, and now I was thinking, okay, maybe I can do this. Sacrifice my queen, right? So here, it looks dangerous. He has this move, but maybe this one is wrong. Actually, let's look at this with the computer. It's almost equal, slightly better for black. You know, that was my gut feeling. Like, this is interesting. The problem though is that after rook e8, he can himself sacrifice the queen. Takes, and bishop h6, same theme, right? So, and this is even stronger. It's just winning for white. So that was a funny moment when I discovered that. So that wasn't working. I think probably, let's look at what the computer is saying. Probably, what about knight d7? No, that's no good. Yeah, knight g4 is what I played, and this is also what the computer recommends. And now things start to get really sharp, because h3 is critical. And I was considering, first I was looking at this sacrifice here. Takes. Go here. Maybe I can take here. Something like this. And I've given up a piece for 3 pawns. Usually in the middle game that's not a good thing, and also here he's very active, and I didn't really fancy this. But then I saw this move, bishop takes d4. Now I'm not sacrificing a piece, because now I'm getting an exchange or a rook for 2 pieces, like this. Looked interesting to me, because I'm picking up 2 pawns after this, which is what I play. Getting 2 pawns and a rook for 2 pieces, which is usually not it's not a bad deal, like material-wise, but here he pointed out to me after the game, I shouldn't have taken the rook, I should have just continued my attack. Because now I'm threatening checkmate, and if, let's say, he goes, yeah, let's say here, castles, now I'm threatening to take this pawn. All kinds of stuff. f5 might be a move at some point after that. And a rook here doesn't work because of this one. What else? He's told me probably rook e3 was the best move. Let's see what the computer says. Yeah, rook e3 is actually the only move. Or maybe bishop e3. Yeah, bishop e3. But then... ooh, queen b4. Attacking b2 and e1. That's a funny move. Queen takes b2 isn't working because of bishop d4. Maybe just queen c7. It's interesting. But rook e3 is probably the best. I didn't spend time looking at bishop takes g3. That was my mistake. So instead I just took here, which probably came as a pleasant surprise to him. I should turn on the computer, it makes too much noise. Okay, now I couldn't find anything better than just taking here. And he gets all this activity with his pieces. Here is just kind of passive. I didn't really like my position at this point, even though material-wise I'm more than fine. And here I played this, knight d5. Suddenly I realized, or it was getting tricky, like if I defend this one, takes, and then just a fork. Simple as that. So if I defend with this one, you can take, and check, and it's totally forced to take. But this is fine. Check. And somehow I was looking at this, like I couldn't find anything, but if he goes here, I just check here and pick up his bishop. So here, I check here, and then also I pick up his bishop. So that wasn't working. He told me he was looking at this. Yeah, that's a pretty good move. With the idea of, let's look with the engine. So probably take here. Oops. If I do something like this, there's queen c3, and next will be bishop h8, followed by queen g7 mate. This was the variation he told me after the game. I didn't even consider it, but I was getting really short on time. So I went back here. Not happy about it, of course. Here, and this one. And now the idea, of course, if I play this fork-looking move, he has knight d5, threatening knight f6 check, picking up the queen. So I have to pretty much do this. It's forced, and now he's threatening me on a fork on b6. So this is, I'd seen all of this when I played e5, but I don't have anything better than this, and that's really a shame. And now I played bishop e3, and I was getting kind of excited because isn't f4 strong here? But turns out f4 takes g5, f5, and all of a sudden, if I go here, there's this check, which is annoying, to say the least. Takes here, and he emerges a piece up. Or does he? No, he doesn't. Let's look at this. Here. Yeah, it just takes it. I thought it was black to move somehow. Okay. But so I didn't do that. I was thinking I should probably take with the queen, but then takes. I have to take with the rook, and it's no fun. He can probably just do this. Okay, maybe not. That's not the best. Yeah, this of course. Yeah, of course. I had seen this. That's winning. So I took with the bishop, but then he takes here, and I was hoping, okay, maybe I get some kind of counterplay against the g-file, but it was never gonna happen. Here I get into all sorts of trouble. I have to do this, and now it's just and it's over. I had to resign. That was my game against Grandmaster Salomon. So now I was at 3 out of 5. I was at 3 out of 4 and then 3 out of 5. So in the 6th round, I faced again a young player. I think he's like 17, also 18 maybe. Young guy, and has a rating of 1800, but he's certainly on his way up. I had looked at his games as well, and I noticed he was playing the Grünfeld. And I went for this offbeat variation, the Bishop G5. It's called Bogolyuba variation, I think, something like that. I don't know. And normally what people do here is this takes, and this is actually pretty pleasant for white. You know, black can try to hold on to this pawn, but eventually I'm gonna play something like this, and then e4, and yeah, something like that. But he went for Bishop G7, and it looks at first sight like I can just win a pawn. That's what I did, and it is one of the main variations. I think even more common is knight f3, but I went for this and took with a pawn. This is what I actually had prepared before the game. c5, and I hadn't really looked much further, so I didn't really know, and I had to think on my own here. Knight f3, queen b6, he offered me a draw. I didn't want to draw, so I played queen b3, which was probably questionable. Probably should have played e3 here, but queen b3, with the idea that after takes, I'm threatening both to take on d4 and check on c7. But if you look one move further, you see that, okay, rook a5 stops both threats kind of, because I'm no longer winning his rook, and if I take here, this pawn is hanging, right? So I had to take that way. And now bishop d7. Wow, I mean, this is typical Grünfeld play. He's just playing very active, not defending passively, and just disregarding material. It's pretty strong play, actually. And now, if I play this, let's say, takes, and just something like king f8, all of a sudden I'm losing a piece. That's no good. So e3. And now one variation could be here, here, and something like bishop e2 maybe, trying to go here, maybe get some pressure against the b7 pawn. This would have been normal play. But then he just castles, and I'm like, man, this guy just doesn't care about the material. He just wants to kill me, basically. And he wants to prove that, you know, his lead and development will be more than enough compensation for the pawn, and it makes sense, right? So played a4. If you give me the opportunity to hold on to some material, I would probably take it. You know, I prefer to attack myself and have sacrifice material, but I generally like imbalances, and this is an imbalanced position, so that's fine. Okay, rook c8, still insisting that he's not gonna win any material, so I go here, takes. Finally he gives up his proud dark squared bishop. I'm not sure if that was correct, but anyway, here. And I took on a6 quickly because I realized that after this I actually have the funny... No. Do I have that? Do I have b4? Yes, I do. So takes here, I take there. He takes on a4. I just take the rook. Right. So yeah, that was why. Rook, so he has to take with the rook. It's kind of a cheapo on my part. I didn't really even think about what was going to happen after rook takes a6, and suddenly I realized maybe that wasn't such a great idea. Computer thinks it's the best move, but I'm not sure. King d2, I couldn't find anything else. And now I was certainly expecting him to play rook c4 because it attacks both d4 and a4, and he can probably play rook b4 at some point. I wasn't sure what to do here. I think I just lose back a pawn, and it's probably going to be roughly equal. But then he played rook a8. So, a pleasant surprise for me. I found this move that I'm pretty happy about. Rook a e1. It looks counterintuitive to bring this rook over all the way over to e1 while leaving this rook on h1. But the point is that, okay, he's threatening to take on a4. If I protect with b3, he's going to go b5 and still winning the pawn. Something like this doesn't really help. He can just take. But now rook a e1. I'm attacking e7. So if he takes on a4, I'm going to take on e7. That's good for me. So he has to defend. And now b3. Now I actually keep the pawn. So that was a funny move, rook a1. Okay, so b5 takes, and I immediately took because I had seen that after rook a5, which was what he played, he's not threatening to take on b5 because after something like rook b1, which is what I played, if he takes, there's b4, and I'm winning a piece. So he should have played rook b6, but he didn't. And now I'm ahead 2 pawns, but you know, looking at my pawns, they're not the prettiest pawns in the world. It's pretty ugly, if you ask me. But I was trying to, you know, slowly consolidate my position, make things happen. Try to convert. Maybe I have to give back 1 pawn. And this is what I decided to do. Here I saw the move d6. Then I thought, okay, I should probably move away this rook first and then play d6. The point is here. I'm attacking both d6 and f6, and if he plays king c7, I have this check, of course. So what he should have done here is go here, check, here, and rook h8. And it's probably pretty good for him because of this. The only, well, I can, oh, maybe this is good for me actually. I think there was somewhere around there he had some, with accurate play he could have had enough counterplay. But he didn't do that. He played rook a2. And now I start seeing a cute trick. Takes here, this looks, and I'm walking off the board, this looks very dangerous because g5. But the trick was king f5. And if he checks me here, I take here. And if he takes, it's checkmate. That was the trick. And he realized this a bit too late, because g5 just helps me now. If bishop g6 isn't working, then what else? So he played here, rook a2, but I'm defending the pawn on f2 with my king. So I take here, and now I'm getting way too active. I'm just entering with all my pieces, and his king is in severe danger. So he sacrificed his bishop. Here, and this I'm just a knight up and I'm winning. Most accurate move probably would have been b6. Okay, so I played rook c5, probably just intending to take on g5 and take some of his pawns. But then I realized b6 is stronger. Now I played it. So rook c5 was probably just a waste of time. Here, now the best or the strongest or the most forcing move would have been d5. It's very nice. Takes here. There's this, d6. Very nice. If he takes the pawn, it's checkmate. I didn't see that mating pattern. I saw that if he goes here, that's pretty good for me because I'm gonna take this pawn with check and stuff. But of course he goes here, and now I have to be a little bit accurate so he doesn't just pick up all my pawns. But I was once I found rook b8 here, I was pretty content that I was pretty sure I was going to win at that point. Of course I'm going to win with an extra knight, but it's always a bit scary with the knight. Suddenly you lose all your pawns and it's just a draw. But I saw that here the point is he can't take. I just exchange and queen, and he can't take this way either because of b7, and I'm gonna check him next move on queen no matter what he does. So I think I erased parts of the game. That's not good. Okay, I played rook b8 and he played h5, I believe. And then I played b7, and it looks a bit strange because of king c6, but then knight a6. And again, if he takes here, yeah, now I even have this check, but no, it's check, but yeah, I don't have that check, but I can take like this, and this is simple enough. I'm just winning. So, what did he do? He advanced. Knight c5. Knight d8 was also winning. Knight c5 and check, and I'm queening, so he resigned. It was a sort of semi-shaky game. It was okay, I guess. So I won. I was at 4 out of 6. And this video is getting pretty long. It's over an hour now. Okay, jeez. But I was at 4 out of 6, and again, I get a strong opponent. A young IM with a rating of 2458, so pretty strong guy. And now I play the variation or the opening that I prepared for the tournament, which was the Benoni. This is what I had looked at the most. And we get the classical variation. I play this move a6. You can go with or without a6. White's gonna go a4. You can insert that at any time if you want. I played g5. I knew that if you look at the opening book here, knight bd7, let's say queen c2, knight e5, rook a3, and here g5. This is the theoretical line that I'd studied in a book. And for some reason I decided to play g5 here, which is way too early. That's no good. And he found a very creative move, knight c4. Amazing. If I take here, takes, this one, oops, bishop d3, and for instance, if I go back, let's say, he goes here, attacking stuff, I think. Let's just turn on the engine. Yeah, so this and this is what I had looked at. If I take here, he takes here. It's winning. Amazing. So if I go here, he can play g3, and let's say rook h3. Many moves, but f4 even. And if I go here, it's even worse. Just h4 is winning. And rook h4 looks very artificial to me anyway. It didn't look right. So what else? And the other option was to sacrifice an exchange somehow, like this. Or if I go here, he plays bishop e3. Now again I have to sacrifice somehow. I was also considering this move. Incredibly complicated position. And it was very tough to evaluate every possibility after knight takes e4. So I decided in the end I was going to play h6. I knew that, okay, he's probably going to go f4, but I thought this would give me a slightly better version of knight takes e4, which is probably not entirely true. But I took here, I couldn't find anything else. Bishop d3, of course. And now I landed on, out of several options that didn't look very convincing to me, I decided eventually to go for this one. Take here, check. And my idea was to go here with bishop g4 next, but he can just play knight b6, and if bishop g4, bishop e2. I have to take, and my rook is hanging, and this is a disaster. So it was already a disaster. I played b5, takes bishop b7, queen h5, forcing queen g5, takes, rook fe1. It's just getting worse and worse. Takes, check, takes here, and finally takes here. So now the dust has kind of settled. I go here. The problem is that his pawns will just advance. He's a very strong pawn duo. My pawns are pretty strong, and his king is weak. My king is much stronger than his, but these two pawns are going to win him the game. So I went here desperately, and then he played b5, and I'm like, what? Can't I just take the bishop? Which I did. And the point is that if he now goes b6, knight c5 here, and I sacrifice back, and suddenly I'm the one probably winning this position. I was like, what? You just allow this? And he went into thought, because his intention, he played this pretty quickly, his intention was to play b6. He also told me this after the game. But that's just not working. So he started thinking, and suddenly I realized there's this amazing move in the position, rook d1, which looks crazy because I can fork him and win the rook, but b6, amazing, you know, right? I have a strong pawn too, but it's just winning for him in every variation with one tempo. I'm just one tempo away from winning instead of losing. So I think it was pretty unlucky that suddenly there was rook d1 in the position, because otherwise it's probably winning for me. In hindsight, I probably should have gone for this. Takes, and then king e7. Maybe I have some chance of holding, actually. I was looking at this stuff with a computer, and in some variations I will just be able to hold together the position, but I think in practice I probably would have lost. I mean, yeah. But I was just so mesmerized by this variation here, where I end up having two pieces against none. It's just two pieces up, but his pawns are just too quick. So I take here. If he takes, there's this, here, here, b6, check, and d2. and I get a queen as well. So he couldn't take, but obviously he just plays b7, which is of course the only move. f3 here. Now I'm obviously threatening f2 check, but he's just in time with this check and picking up the bishop. So that was unfortunate, but to be fair, I was losing the entire game, so it was totally a fair result. And let's look at the final game, the 8th game. I played against this guy. I was a white. I've played against this guy a few times before. He's been as high as 2200 before, and now he's down to 1800, 1836. So I wasn't too happy about this pairing, but maybe he's just out of form, I don't know. He's a slightly older player, I think he's 51. Or actually he told me he's 51 because he's going to play in the World Senior Championship. You can do that when you're older than 50. That was funny. So we get a French, and I looked at this bishop d2 variation, which is one of my specialties, and not sure if it's all that good, but I played it so much I know all the ins and outs. Here. This is just one way of playing. I was starting to think what will happen on this move. Because if I play knight f3, a6, I have to go back, and he gets this tempo. I looked so far. I looked at this variation, but actually there is a possibility of taking here. Funnily enough, check, g3, takes, and queen f2. And now if he goes back here, I finally get this knight c7 move, winning the rook. So he has to go here, something like this, but here the H file is open. It's pretty good for me. That would have been interesting. But he took like this. This is all normal. Exchanging some pieces. And here I was considering playing normal stuff like this. And it's slightly better for white because of his pawns are on light squares, mine are mostly on dark squares, and I have a pretty good space advantage on the king side, so it's pretty good for white, but it can get kind of drawish, and I didn't want to draw, so I went back here, knight f3, bishop d7, and now I had seen a kind of strange idea, bishop d3, so I went for it. It looks like he can just go knight b4, attacking the bishop and the pawn on e2, but my idea was taking on h7. It looks kind of overly ambitious, I guess, but my idea was a3. Because if I go here, let's say, something like this, then a3, I think maybe f6. Yeah, that should be winning for black. But a3, and he played rook fc8, which is not a good move, but there were several opportunities, several options for him here. Like one move is this, it looks very wrong, but it isn't. Here, and now I can't play knight g5 because of rook c8 winning the queen. So I have to play something like king b1. I looked at this a bit, and it's pretty equal. I can play on. I kind of like my position actually. Another option was actually just to go back. I thought this was winning for me, but it turns out that after this, king here, queen d3, rook c8, check, 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 takes here. I've sacrificed a piece, and I was thinking, you know, this has to be winning. I didn't even bother to calculate any further because after something like this, there's check, And this, that just looks, yeah, let's say here, just queen h4, knight f6 next. That just wins for me. So what I hadn't seen, and I don't think I can be blamed for this, is that black in check here, king b1 takes, looks suicidal because of rook f1, but then rook g8. Amazing. And I'm not winning right away. It's still interesting because I think I will get like 3 pawns for the piece, and black is pretty cramped down, so it would still have been interesting. The move I thought he was going to play was a5, and that's probably the strongest move because takes, and now if I do this and queen d3, there's check, check, and probably check here. So at least a draw. Probably black can play on for a win, I'm pretty sure. Like here, he can probably just take here, I guess. Or can he? Maybe not. But anyway, it's at least a draw. So after a5, I was thinking, okay, I probably have to bail out with something like queen d4, but then I don't think white can be any better. So yeah, that's what he should have done. But he went for rook c8. I was very happy because now I win the pawn. a5, trying to get some counterplay, but it's nothing. Just play b3. And if he goes here, check here, I can't go here because of this check, but I can just go here. And if this, I play knight d4, and I'm safe. So I was starting to actually consolidate the position. King b2, and I'm just consolidating. After I played g3, I realized I should have played f5 the move before, which is very strong because of stuff like this, which is just winning. But I played g3, just playing safe. f5, so he's fixing the pawn structure, which is an advantage for me anyway. And my idea in this position is very simple. Although I'm a pawn up, it's not so easy to actually break through and create play or find any breaks. So my idea is basically just trade off both rooks if I can, and then the knight versus bishop ending will be very simple. And this is what happened, b6. And here this was the move I spent the most time on the entire game, because my first intention was b4, but then rook c4 takes, and it's actually difficult to find a way to, very difficult to find a way for white to enter the black position in any way. So finally I decided to go for this and here, and I'm very happy about that decision, because now after bishop b5, let's say, c3, and I'm going to create a passed pawn. Check here, and now it's very simple actually. I just advance up the board, and I just have to be careful, like if I play b5 here, maybe he's gonna go d4. So I just played very safely here, and just not allowing any counterplay. And here I can probably win by taking on e6, but then we both queen at the same time, and although it's probably winning for me, it's just not worth it because it's too much calculation. This is simple. Now I found a kind of cute way to win. Just advance my pawns, and here and here. Here he can't take because I queen then, and finally this one. And if he goes here, I play here and I'm queening. So he resigned. That was my final game. I scored 5 out of 8, and actually I think I gained 2 rating points. not so bad for a comeback tournament. I think all of my opponents were either more than 300 rating points higher rated than me or 300 rating points lower, so I beat the lower ones and lost to the higher ones. And overall I'm pretty happy about it. So this turned out to be a very long video. Tell me if you like it, if you don't like it, if you hate it, if you want to see more stuff like this. I will probably have some more time now to actually make some YouTube videos, chess videos. So any suggestions, just leave them in the comments and let me know. So far this has been Stranded Knights, and until next time, see you.